that if the USA, the Eagles, had more African-American gridiron players in there, they'd be more competitive. In fact, they'd be pretty damn good, I reckon, but that's another story altogether. But no, we're waiting for our one with the ABs up against the Canadians, and as I made mention on social media, I think that's going to be a cricket score. I feel sorry for the Canadians, the Mooses or whatever they're called. I think they're going to be on the end of a black backlash.
Okay. Argentina, Tonga, Reno, that's going to be an interesting game. Of course, Argentina, oh boy, they had a real epic match in their last game, didn't they, bro?
Yeah, they did. You know, the Tongans are going to throw everything at them. I'll be surprised if we don't see a yellow or a red card in their game. Argentina need to win big, get that bonus point to get themselves comfortable in their pool at the moment. They know they should have most likely beaten France. They've played good throughout the year during the Super Rugby and International Series. So a lot to lose for the Argentinians, for the Pumas, but they should get home over the Tongans.
Mm. And the Japan-Ireland match, boy, can we see one of the biggest upsets again, bro? What do you reckon?
Yeah, could do, mate. Anything's on the cards with these games. I suppose in hindsight, it would be great for the host nation and the minnow team as such, but Ireland, one of the favourites to take out this tournament, it will be tough. But hey, they can play when they want to play, and it comes down to two teams on the paddock. Who wants to win? Who would have thought Uruguay would have beaten Fiji, another minnow team? So, yeah, anything's possible at this tournament.
What do you reckon, Ra? Japan, can they?
Yeah, well, of all teams that the Japanese could beat is Ireland. If they can sneak up on them like they did against the Springboks a few years back, they're very, very capable of doing the unexpected. If it was like up against the All Blacks, I wouldn't rate their chances. But as much and as good and as at the top Ireland were at one stage on the IRB table, I think the Japanese can sort of sneak up on them. But it has to be, one of those upset days, and look, anything's possible. That's why we probably watch the games, just to see if that does eventuate. But on paper, the Irish should sort of walk away with that match. But watch the space.
Namibia, pretty much you can say they're done. So they go up against South Africa tomorrow night too, eh? What do you reckon, Ra?
Yeah, well, a clash of a couple of African nations there. I think the first and second teams from the African continent, and it should be a one-way affair game for the Boks against the Namibians. But one thing I'd like to see these lesser-known nations do is at least try and put up a fight. Is easier said than done, but it's good for the game, not for them to be written off. And who knows? By some freak miracle, they may actually sort of sneak in wins, as we saw Japan do against the Springboks, I think. So another watch this space, but on paper again, it should be a calculated victory to the South Africans.
Can you think
of... That'll be one of the biggest upsets of the tournament, and that will be it.
Yes.
Namibia knocking over the Africans, their own fellow nation and everything like that. Imagine that, eh?
Well...
I think they'll win the World Cup. We know it's not going to happen, but hey, Japan has proved it. It should be one-way traffic, but man, there we go. Go in Namibia.
South Africa, though, I mean, if they were to be upset by Namibia, that would be even worse than the last World Cup where Japan upset them, which was...
Yeah, they'll be on the plane flying home.
Oh, I know.
They'll be buggered. They'll be like, this is embarrassing.
Well, I mean, it had to have been pretty embarrassing when they got beaten by Japan. I mean... Yeah. Which was, one of the most epic games I can remember, Ra? I mean, it was just an unbelievable game to hear that Japan beat South Africa. And not just that too, Ra? We had one of our own Gizzy boys in that team, one of the Broadhurst brothers from out of Campion. So
we did, and we sort of claimed them as our own. But you kind of got to put it into context with the two nations, Japan and Namibia. The amount of money that the Japs sort of pay for a lot of their players in their competitions is way more than what the Namibians make in a week or in a year. So, there is sort of those financial comparisons where the Jets have a ton load of money and they had the competition over there, which a lot of foreign players were involved in, including a lot of Kiwis, whereas Namibia, they're like the real backstreet sort of boys with only probably $500 to their name. So it would be good if minnows like that do upset, the wealthier rugby nations like the Springboks.
Yeah, it's a very, very hugely unlikely.
Oh, you fellas are talking caca.
Full-time, bro. That's what we call it. Full-time. Anyway, now, one of the other things that has been coming up, obviously, and this has come up over the week, I guess. I suppose it built up from Saturday, of course, when last Saturday, I should say, when the All Blacks took on South Africa for their game. And, of course, we're talking about the Haka. It's come in light, as it usually does. I think after every hiatus, about 3 years later, the fact that the All Blacks do the Haka, and it's a disadvantage for the opposition. What are your thoughts, first of all, Ra?
Look, it's the age-old, put the boot in from a lot of these nations who just can't stand, the All Blacks winning all the time, and they have to sort of pinpoint something. And the Haka again, for like the millionth time, is brought to the international media's attention. Look, as I've said on social media, I mean, the fact that the ABs are not a bad team didn't sort of come into the equation. The Haka is just a challenge, it's a ritual, and going on that, I think that Irish media guy who sort of brought it up again, going on his analogy, if rituals at the start of a game sort of added to a team's winning ways, well, it didn't work for Fiji when they did the Sipito against Uruguay. That was sort of the other way around. So that's what they are, and a lot of people know that. They're just challenges, pre-match rituals. You focus on the team itself and how they do. You don't hear them going on about England and say like Namibia, the mismatch in money. England, multi-million-dollar players in their side, where money sort of should guarantee a victory against any side compared to Namibia, as I said before, probably only has $500. You don't hear those sort of that sort of talk because it's not as interesting as sort of blaming, a ritual sort of pre-match performance.
What do you reckon, Reno?
Yeah, that Irish bloody rider can go get stuffed.
I agree. Yeah.
Totally. We've been doing the Haka for so many years with our game.
Yeah.
He knows where he can bloody go. He's just focusing that he wants his nation team to win. That's all it is. He's going to try any angle he can to kind of upset us, which may filter down to the team, and ain't going to upset the team. The Haka is what it is. It's part of our game, and so many other sporting codes and individuals do use it these days. And it's not just in sports. So it's a lot of areas now. So he knows where he can go where the sun don't shine. Because it ain't going to work. And I hope we get to play bloody Ireland, do a mean-ass Haka, Kapa or Pongo. It seems to be the dominant one for us as an All Black team. When we do that one, 99% of the time, we come away with the result. So yeah, bugger him.
I remember. Now, I remember a couple of times. I remember one time when the All Blacks had a test in Australia. And the Australians, instead of, coming up to face Haka, which is, what they can do, you can do whatever you want. When a team or somebody does a Haka to you, you're not permitted or obliged to stand there. You can do anything that you want to do. The Aussies decided that they'll continue practicing, and they did. They continued practicing, and that's how they took on board the Haka. The thing is, in that game, the Aussies got absolutely smashed, and from there on, they decided, it might actually be a good thing to actually just go up in front of the Haka and try and contain the emotions and feelings, because boy, once that game kicked off, they absolutely got it. That also happened, I remember, in France. I'm not exactly sure where it was. I think it was near Bordeaux or something, where the All Blacks were not allowed at all to have the Haka done in the stadium. So the All Blacks, instead, they were in the changing sheds before the game kicked off. They were doing the Haka in there. And then when they came out, let's just say the French got absolutely smashed. And from there they decided, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. So, other countries out there can take the haka in any way, shape or form that they want to. But just watch out when the consequences come, especially when it comes to the All Blacks, because if you want your team to get absolutely smashed, just respect the haka. That's what I reckon, eh, bro? What do you reckon, Reno?
Oh, mate, totally agree with you 100% on what you just said there as well. You know, I remember back in the day, Norm Hewitt and the Poms come right up into his face.
Yes.
This Irish publisher should maybe have a quartet or Norm and see what his thoughts are on that.
Yep.
But, mate, it is what it is, and it's just part of our tradition in any games. Look, you go into the league code. I remember Big Nelson in one of the World Cup games, and they come right up into his face. It's the start of the passion. It's part of our tradition with our rugby games. So you've got to accept it or not. And if you don't, well, like you say, suffer the consequences and get smashed.
Yep, I remember. And JT might remember this too. You probably do as well, Reno, when Willie Mason, it appeared as if he was disrespecting the haka, you know, because he was yelling something. We didn't know what he was doing, but during the haka that the Kiwis were doing, he was yelling something that, you know, nobody knew what he was yelling, but boy, I remember his first smash. He got the ball, he got the run up, and he got absolutely smashed. I think it was from David Kidwell, wasn't it, Reno?
Yeah, it was. I remember that. And I know JT remembers that as well. So, hey, it's just part of it. Look, the All Blacks currently at the stage in Japan, they respected the culture side of things, or the cover-up of their tamoko or tattoos, and that's part of our culture as well. So it doesn't matter who the hell you are, and if you don't want to be part of that, oh well, let's suffer the consequences, I reckon.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying, mate. I totally know what you're saying. And, yeah, but oh well.
Have you been following this haka thing yourself there, JT?
Oh, I've just been asleep for the last 20 minutes, boys, and listening to talk about rugby. Nah, look, it is what it is. I think the Irish, I did some research, is part of the, what do I call it, loyalist or the unionist, which is aligned to the British side of things. So I saw a lot of rubbish on Facebook regarding slamming the Irish as a culture, but I can tell you now that this guy was a Protestant, so he was more aligned to the British side of things. So don't slam the Irish, they're beautiful people, and based on that analogy, the Kiwis should win every game they play, but they don't, because they're bloody hopeless.
True enough. Anyway, with that said, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back with more Full-Time right after this.
On behalf of the Full-Timers, I would just like to say big thanks to Joachim Currid, who brings us our music intro. Check him out on joachimcurrid.com. He's also on YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Spotify, Instagram, and follow him on Facebook. Another big thanks goes out to Silent Partner, who brings us our outro. Check out their music on YouTube. And also thanks must go to the Polish Ambassador for the backing music for this promo. Check out the Polish Ambassador on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Beatport, Instagram, Twitter, and on his website, thepolishambassador.com.
You're listening to a podcast produced by Tūrangi FM, #1 iwi radio station in Aotearoa. We play each full-time session on Tūrangi FM Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. You can listen in live on our Tūrangi FM media page. Just click the main Tūrangi FM logo to tune in online. Or if you're in the Gisborne area, we're on the radio frequencies 91.7, 95.7 and 98.1. Also check out the Full-Time Facebook page where you can listen to the podcast again. Make comments and click links that will lead you to other ways to listen to the podcast, such as Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, Podchaser and Tumblr. Right, let's get back to the Fools on Full-Time.
Welcome along to our second part here on Full-Time. I want to send another shout out going out to our sponsors, course, Racetrack Motors. They are down there on Race Street. Also want to say a big thank you to all our loyal listeners who have been tuning in. Been wonderful to have you along with us here on our final hurrah, I dare say, of Full Time. Anyway, tell you what, huge game last night, JT. Bro, huge game. Souths and Canberra. What a game, mate.